With the young players, you always see the skill set that they have. You know, you see it in practice, you see it early on, their body movement, their ability to catch the ball, their ability to run routes. But their ability to do that in the most critical of situations is the one thing you don't know.
3rd and 13 now for the Colts, 23 seconds left. Colts down by a point.
You want to be on the attack, and you want to be aggressive, and you want to play with an absence of fear. You know, as a veteran player, it's just sometimes reminding guys, cut it loose. A lot of what you end up doing is dictated off of how they're trying to defend you. We knew if we got our chance, we were going to let it rip.
Ryan's going to throw it, taking a deep shot for Pierce.
Matt just gave me a chance, you know, threw one up downfield. It ended up being a perfect ball.
Ryan throws down the near sideline, looking for Alec Pierce. He's got it! Touchdown!
Touchdown!
Alec Pierce!
What a call! What a play!
Alec is such a talented player, has such a good feel on the deep vertical throws that we felt like if we got the chance, you know, we had the look that we wanted, we could be aggressive there.
The coaches recognized from the previous couple of plays they were really, you know, loading the box, trying to stop the run, bringing some pressure.
For us, we had talked about on the sideline before what we wanted to do on the backside, if we wanted to be aggressive or not. We had a play set up that had multiple options. You know, there was a little discussion about what we wanted to do if we broke into the open field, we had a chance to score. Do we want to go into a mode where, you know, we play it, you know, safe and go down and kick the field goal? We felt like, at least I felt like we were in a spot that if we got our chance, go score. If we got that chance, let it rip and get it in the end zone.
23 seconds, here we go. It is a shotgun formation from Matt Ryan.
They just kind of pressed across the board, single high safety.
As a quarterback, your responsibility is to try and keep that middle safety where he is. As long as the corner doesn't bail, we're going to have a chance to throw it down the field and truly create a one-on-one opportunity. And Alec did a great job, patience with the route, an excellent release.
Reggie, you know, earlier in the game, I had kind of like rushed the release on a play and didn't get the best release, so he just wanted me to be patient and work my release, you know, so I can save as much space for the quarterback to throw the ball.
A reminder from a guy who's an all-time great to stay patient, to understand, use your technique. You know, I think in critical situations, it comes down to the fundamentals. And I think that's what Reg was reminding him there of. Stay patient with the release, trust your fundamentals.
He is going to drop the throw. Fires deep along the right sideline for Alec Pierce.
He's got it! Touchdown! Touchdown! Alec Pierce spikes it into the end zone. Touchdown! I-N-D-Y! A 32-yard grab over the shoulder snag.
That's something we work all the time. A lot of times you have a tendency you don't want to let it fade over your shoulder. That makes it a harder catch. That used to be a drill that I would think, you know, it's almost like layup lines for basketball. It's just kind of like warming up. You're just going easy. Really emphasize letting that ball fade over your shoulder and just trying to catch it on the outside shoulder.
And on 3rd down, Alec Pierce has his first NFL touchdown.
It's the first touchdown. You want to make sure you keep the ball. I didn't want to spike it, but I ended up spiking it. Tried not to, you know, throw it into the stands or anything like that because I wanted to keep my ball. I saw Blue, the mascot, had to go get a celebration with him real quick.
I actually didn't see him catch it. The reaction from the crowd, whether you're at home or on the road, says it all. And when you felt Lucas Oil explode and the place going crazy, that was really my cue that we had hit it. I didn't know if he scored or it was just a completion. You could just feel the energy, and that's an awesome feeling as a player.
It is chaos here in Indianapolis.
First one, game winner,
I think it's an incredible way to get your first touchdown catch.
I sent him a text that night. What a cool way to have, you know, your first touchdown in the NFL be basically a walk-off game winner. Not many people get an experience like that, and it's something you'll remember forever.
I don't think I could have drew up a better way to get it, and you know, happy it happened that way.
In the biggest of moments, he's going to be there. He's going to make the plays. He's got that internal fire. I think that fire is only going to continue to grow. I'm glad we have him.
Well, we wondered what the mindset of Frank Reich would be, and there it is. aggressive, trusting the veteran quarterback. You got a one-on-one situation. Shaq Griffin against the rookie, and the rookie wins.
Hey, so from what I'm tracking on that play too, though, is they said that they said that it was Frank Wright being aggressive, right? And ultimately it was Matt Ryan being aggressive. So I actually listened to multiple interviews this week by Frank Wright, and he gave all credit to Matt Ryan on that decision. He said that when him and Matt were sitting on the sideline, they were talking about what they wanted to do on that play. And Matt instantly said he wanted to score. He didn't want to be conservative. He didn't want to go for the field goal. He didn't want to give anything a chance. He wanted to go for that touchdown. Players asked Matt, hey, if we catch this ball, what are we doing? Are we going down? Are we going out of bounds? What are we doing? He said, no, man, just score. So that play, I think, alone just gave us an idea of what Matt Ryan is and who we were looking for when we picked him up. That play hypes me up. It's the reason. Okay, so you guys all messaged me and said good job on that, and I didn't make that. All right, I wish I could take credit for that. That was a Colts production. They do a director's cut pretty much every time we win, and that was one that I had to steal this week just because Alec Pierce getting his first touchdown. I like Matt Taylor as as the voice of Indy. That man can get me hype up just the way he does things. I don't know if you guys saw the video of him actually making that announcement, and he was like, it's just Matt Taylor's an awesome guy, man. How's everybody doing tonight, man? How's everybody doing?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good.
Real well. I'm good.
But yeah, no, the reason I was saying you are the man for updating it is just because too many times I see too many podcasts will do like the same intro all the time, and you switched it up, and I thought it was perfect that I was thinking that, and then this week you ended up changing it up, and just thought that was awesome.
I know this fresh.
I mean,
this one was a
little situation
long
too as well, coming off a win. That's awesome.
Yeah, I figured change it up a little bit. You know, I get these fans hyped up instead of just the same hype up video that was we used from off season. Now you use some things that's going on throughout the year rather than just I don't know, man. I'm hyped for Alec Pierce, bro. And the fact that earlier on in the game, they even talked about it. Earlier on in the game, he didn't get a good release. I think he got a flag on that play. He didn't catch the ball, but I'm pretty sure there was a penalty on that play. I can't remember.
Yeah, he got the defensive pass interference on that play.
Yeah,
that was actually a third down to keep our drive going on the game-winning. Or no, not the game-winning drive. But earlier in the game, I want to say it was our second touchdown.
First time we took the lead, I believe.
Yeah,
that was going. We took the lead.
Yeah.
So I know that everybody's so hyped about that play, but I have another play that I'll share later on that I think was a pivotal role in us being able to win this game. It was another 3rd and long situation on that last drive. And it was someone else that we just don't talk enough about, but we'll get there.
And I wanted to also give an update on that last part that we were talking about. You said with Matt Ryan and the players talking about go score. They were actually, the players were talking to each other, the receivers in the line. It was like, do we get down here and try and get to the field goal? Mm-hmm. Matt Ryan comes over and says, hey, just fucking score.
Yeah, just fucking score.
That's what he tells
Supposedly that's from what the receiver said, that was his exact quote.
That was his score. Just fucking score. And then actually really smart on Alec Pierce's play as well. It was I want to say a 2-way option route. If the DB came up to press like he did, you were supposed to hit the go route, get your press on the outside. If he was off, I think it was more than 3 yards. It was supposed to be a slant. And it was great recognition by Alec Pierce to recognize that, because Alec Pierce on that play, he's not even the main option of that route. That was the backside of the play. And Matt Ryan was telling Frank Wright, what are we doing on the backside just in case something opens up there? And boom, it happened to work out.
100%, man. I think that whole drive, that last drive kind of showed what this team could be. And instead of getting that conservative Frank, I think that play alone just kind of gives Frank confidence to go back to what he was doing a couple years ago when he was like, I'm not going for a tie. He always said before, I'm not going for a tie. But this year it always seemed like he was kind of I'm going conservative. I don't trust these guys. But now it's looking like, hey,
like we said earlier, playing not to lose.
Yes, and now he's playing to win. And this is the Colts team that I think we're going to get moving forward, and I absolutely love it.
And we're 5 weeks.
Brock, we got a couple questions here or statements here. I say, Brock, I personally, I don't care about being called the worst team. I will honestly take every little worst call they said. I'll take every 12-9 win. I don't care if it gets us all the way to the Super Bowl. I'll take 12-9 the whole way. So me personally, I don't care about that, but it's definitely nice to see the team building the chemistry.
Yeah, man. Before we get into even talking about that game a little more, because I know we just kind of got into it, let's go ahead and go through this injury report. I'm going to go through it quickly because we don't have this slide this week. NFL.com kind of changed their the way they have this all set up, so it's just going to be real quick. I'm just going to name off names. I'll tell you, if they're out or if they're questionable. Right now, first off is DJ Chark he's out tomorrow. Let's see. You have Josh Reynolds, wide receiver, is questionable with a knee. Dak Prescott is a full participant and is back, so he'll be playing in the Detroit and Cowboys game.
Reading the list of who's going to play because that list is long as hell.
CeeDee Lamb is now a full participant, so he's back. Yeah, man, I'm just kind of going through it. Real quick, I'm just looking for main players. Rashad Bateman is questionable with a foot. You got J.K. Dobbins is out with a knee.
They activated Gus Edwards for the first time this season.
Yep, Gus the Bus.
You have Gerard Bernhardt. He's out with a groin. For anyone who might have him. Let's see. Jamar Chase, if anybody was wondering, he is now a full participant as of right now. So
he better be.
Yeah, he's not a questionable or anything right now. Just letting everybody know.
Dude been getting me 12s all year and finally got me at 30 last
For
week.
us, we only have Kwity Paye and Shaq that's out. And Shaq is, if anybody doesn't know, that was Frank making that decision. Shaq wanted to play, but Frank wanted to keep him from hurting himself even more. Also, Kiki Kuti is out with a concussion still. Yeah, that's for us. And then for tomorrow for Tennessee, they're missing Joe Jones, Nate Davis. They're also going to miss Torrey Carter and Zach Cunningham. Bud Dupree is going to play. Amani Cooper is back. So those are some people we need to keep an eye on for tomorrow. Julio Jones is out with a knee injury. That sounds about right. It's average. Cameron Brate injury out with a neck. Bro, I used to call him pulled pork hamstrings, Julio Jones, man, because that man just constantly got messed up hamstrings, bro. Something was going on with those legs.
People was talking about, oh yeah, I want him on the Colts or whatever, blah blah blah, and I was like, dude's gonna play 3 games.
Yeah, that's it. So Baker Mayfield for the Panthers is doubtful with an ankle. Christian McCaffrey is no longer on the Panthers, so hope everybody knows that one. This list is so long.
That's one less guy on Carolina's injury report.
Yeah, but now he's on the Niners. Kenny Galladay and Kadarius Toney are out.
Are they healthy scratches because they weren't traded? Or
no, Kenny Galladay's out with a knee injury and Kadarius Toney is out with a hamstring.
So the issue is, I guess, Kenny Galladay has some issues with Brian Daboll, and Brian Daboll has some issues with Kenny Galladay not playing hard, and he's also been hurt at the same time. And then with Kadarius Toney, he's just not been healthy since he's came into the league. It's almost like a Parrish Campbell situation, except his hasn't been like crazy injuries. He just hasn't been healthy.
Yeah. Okay. So Marvin Jones for the Jaguars is questionable with a hamstring. Agnew is out with a knee injury. So I know a lot of people probably have Agnew because he's pretty solid. He's an all-around player. So if anybody's watching and has Agnew on fantasy, he's out.
DJ Chark just got put on IR too for anybody who has him.
Yep. Randall Cobb for the Packers is out with an ankle. He was just put on IR?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it's not listed on.
And they just activated
Sammy Watkins.
Yeah.
Yep, because Christian Watson is also out with a hamstring.
Yep. I can't believe I wanted Christian Watson to the Colts, and he's been hurt all year too.
Yeah, thank God. We need him. So Jonathan Williams, running back, is out with a knee injury. Carson Wentz is out with a right finger. You know, everybody knows he just got surgery. Diami Brown is out with a groin. We have
can't play.
Elijah Moore with the Jets is out. His is not injury related. It is a personal matter. So Elijah.
No,
Moore
he
is
wants
out.
traded. That's where I was reading. Elijah Moore requested a trade.
He wants out of there.
So he's out. So I figured that when it said personal matter, but he's not playing tomorrow.
Yeah, they sent him home from practice too. They didn't even let him practice this week.
Yeah, they're trying to keep that. They're trying to keep that.
Russell Wilson is out. Let me try to get through this as fast as possible.
Wait, who's the starter in Denver?
It's probably
it is Ryan. What was his name? I just seen it. Rip. He got a weird ass name.
Is it a Ripken?
I want to say it's a.
Is it Mark Ripken's son?
It's Ripien.
Yeah.
Ripien. Yeah.
It's Mark Ripken's nephew. Cool.
All right, here we go. So for the Raiders, you got Mac Hollins is questionable with a heel. You also have Hunter Renfrow is questionable with a hip, and then this is a big one. Darren Waller is out with a hamstring.
Is he really? Jesus.
Yeah, he's out with a hamstring. All right. So for the Seahawks, Tyler Lockett is questionable with.
He didn't play us like last week.
Tyler Lockett is questionable with a hamstring. You have Penny Hart is doubtful with a hamstring.
Brock, our left tackle this week will be Dennis Kelly again.
Yes, sir. And then you have for the Chargers, you have Donald Parham is out. Josh Palmer is out. Joshua Kelly is out. Those guys aren't top guys. So, but the Chargers right now, their injury report is extensive. So
their injury report is literally just Keenan Allen. They need Keenan Allen back. They do not look the same without him.
Yeah, but they also don't look the same with half of their starters being out, bro. Like they're missing a lot of people. They've got people on IR and that aren't even listed right here. Like they've got the injury bug this year, man.
Definitely true, but that's what happens when you put a bunch of names on paper and everybody picks them to go to the Super Bowl.
That's facts. So there's no one significant missing from the Chiefs and the 49ers game. That's not listed here. I don't know who's on IR. Doesn't show here. So moving to the Steelers-Dolphins game, let's see. Steven Sims, I don't know if anybody's got him, but he's out with a hamstring for the Steelers. And then for the Dolphins, let me go through this long-ass list. Holy shit. Yeah, nobody. All right. It's long. Nobody big. Tua's not listed.
Tua is back.
Wow.
He will be playing Monday night versus the Steelers. Or Sunday. No, Monday night.
No, it's Sunday.
Is it Sunday? Okay,
Sunday. It's Sunday. Yeah, Sunday at 8:20. Monday night game for the Bears. For the Bears and the Patriots.
I don't know why.
For the Patriots, you have Nelson Aguilar is questionable with a hamstring. Kendrick Bourne is questionable with a toe. Damian Harris is listed on the report, but he was a full participant in the last practice, so his game status is just clear. He's playing. Bears have no injuries reported. The only team in the NFL who has no injuries reported. All right.
That's because they don't try to play.
Yeah, that's true. You know what? I like Justin Fields. All right, leave that man alone. All right.
I mean, he's the only one that tries to play. I meant everybody else.
Hey, so from what I'm expecting our offensive line to go ahead and caveat on to what DeMarco answered for Brock is I believe it's going to be the same as it was last week, and I also am expecting the same type of game plan, considering where Tennessee is at. But we're going to talk about Jags real quick. And here's a play that I want to put up on the screen real quick that I believe is actually really pivotal to the success of that final drive. We were out of field goal range.
Everybody's been going crazy with this video.
This video is just.
Oh no, that's not.
No, this isn't the video. This is a different video. I recorded this video myself.
Yeah, no. I was thinking it was the one that was going viral on like all the Colts platforms about the throw Matt. Maybe.
Yo, that's that Kylan Granson had like that inside release.
Yeah,
and then corner flipped his hips, thinking he was breaking inside.
Yep,
and he busted it back out.
This play was pivotal because this play was a 3rd and long play, and this was the play that got us up there, right? And then we had that run play where Matt Ryan tripped, and then he handed it off to Phillip Lindsay. He didn't gain anything, and then Alec Pierce, went off. But this play here was pretty much kept that drive alive, man. And just the way Kylan Granson runs that, look at that. Completely just this. I mean, nobody talked about this.
You know who that is, right? That's the rookie linebacker Devin Lloyd, who everybody was comparing to Shaq Leonard.
Yeah, and he got toasted by Kylan Granson.
Oh, also, I didn't know if you guys heard, who was it? I want to say it was Devin Lloyd, but it might have been I think it was Trevon Walker. They had a interview with him, and they asked him how did it feel to go up against this Colts offensive line, and he basically said our offensive line was barbecue chicken, and they ended up with no sacks.
I saw this, right, and me and another guy we were arguing with somebody on Twitter about it. I don't know if you follow the same guy I follow, but this dude was literally saying that our offensive line played garbage last week because we let up 6 hits and 58 targets, or 58 dropbacks. You're telling me that's garbage?
Was that a Colts
fan?
fan?
He hasn't watched Colts football because
it was a Colts fan. It was a Colts fan. Like, I don't understand.
Well, see, that's the same thing that I was telling you guys about the whole Gilmore thing, that they said he was getting cooked because he gave up 3 catches for 40 yards. And it's just stuff like that. It's like with Colts fans, sometimes you just can't win. Even when they give you a win, you still just can't be happy for anything.
It's not easy when they don't understand the concept of football either. And 58 times offensive linemen are having to go on their back feet and block for extended periods of time. You're going to get
so
hit.
I will make a comment on that, though, because Matt Pryor played garbage. All right, I went back and watched the tape, and Matt Pryor was terrible.
Yeah, I watched that too.
The only reason that we were okay with that was because 43 of those 58 passes were under 10 yards. Under 10 yards. They were quick cross routes, quick slants, quick outs. I mean, DJ, alone had 10 catches as a running back. So
my thing to battle back against the whole whatever Colts fan would be arguing there is just put this into perspective for fans.
Me too, Brock. Me too. I can't stand it.
So Matt Ryan had 58 passes, 6 QB hits, no sacks, and an average time of 2.6 to get passes off, which would be, I think that's about middle of the league. I want to say about 14th in the league. Trevor Lawrence had 22 passes. He had, I want to say it was about 9 pressures, 4 sacks, with an average of 2.3 seconds of getting the ball out. So I'm like, he's getting the ball out fast as one of the fastest times in the league. Still gets sacks 4 times. That just puts Colts fan complaining in perspective there.
A quick update. The Phillies are not too far behind anymore. All right. After the first inning, it's 4-3. All right. I can take a little breather. All right. Let's go.
So yeah, that's just my thing there, man. Colts fans just love to complain, but they don't really put football in perspective. And you look at how does Trevor Lawrence get the ball off faster than Matt Ryan, and supposedly right now has a better offensive line and still gets sacked 4 times. So Colts fans want to complain, they can go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go ahead and take our wins. Also with a 102 passer rating.
I agree. And if you watch the tape, right? No, I know DeMarco did, and I definitely did this week. I found some time to watch it while I was at work, even though I had a busy week. But I was able to watch some tape in between some time. A lot of our passing plays, there wasn't just one person open. Matt had a multitude of options on almost every play. It's specifically the Paris Campbell touchdown. I believe that was in the second quarter. The pylon touchdown. The pylon touchdown. If you look at it, I believe it was Jelani Woods was directly behind him and was wide open right after the top of the route. Just wide open.
Yeah.
Yep, back corner. I was like, so there were multiple people open over the field, and that was on multiple plays, man. And just the way that Frank schemed last week, I think was phenomenal. I understand that most of us don't like the fact that Matt threw 58 times. But if you really look at it, 43 of those passes were under 10 yards. You can really look at that as 43 of those passes were just extended run plays.
But I mean, honestly, this is exactly the offense that we've been asking for, though. That was the Phillip Rivers offense. That's literally how we ran with Uncle Phil, but just with some more runs with Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
I mean,
go ahead, Damon. I know Damon was trying to say something.
I know y'all were excited. It was a variation of that power toss that they ran. I think it was Deion Jackson lined up left of him in the shotgun, and it was almost like a read. It was like a really long stretch out of shotgun. I would say outside zone play to Deion Jackson. Did y'all get to catch that or saw that? Because I know that make y'all happy because we're always one that power toss to the right-hand side of JT, and he brought it out just a little bit, and of course it went for a first down. Of course.
Let's give some love to Deion Jackson, man. That man just last week stepped into a role, and was able to power his way through, and he was Kyle Brandt's
angry runner of the week.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's great. That's something we needed, and it hyped me up because he's our third back.
And he had a couple runs like that. He had a couple runs where he lowered his shoulder for a first down. I think on that same drive, didn't he? Because he came out, right? I think he came out for a play because he's banged up, went back in and scored. Or is that a different drive?
That was towards the fourth quarter. I think you're talking about a different drive though before this touchdown.
It was a goal line. I think it was a goal line situation. They were on like a 10 or 12 yard line, and it was like a halfback draw. I'm gonna say right up the middle, and he laid out a linebacker and then got a first down.
Yeah, that was around third quarter.
Man.
And then Brock, Jelani, man, I love Jelani, man. We got to get him some more playing time. I think the coaching staff is having trouble with who they're going to put in with the formations because of the size difference that we got at tight end. But going from Mo to Jelani to then Granson, the play styles are just different, and so that's the tough part. But I'd love to see for Jelani and some more. It's either this guy's catching touchdowns or catching 15-yard passes. So I'd love to see him in the game more. And then Ash, I don't think Deion Jackson will take Hines' spot just because the way Frank is, but I think we definitely see him start taking some carries away from Hines and start getting in the mix a little bit.
I mean, it's the best situation whenever Granson's not dropping shit. He's literally. I mean, there's a couple catches. That one before half, DeMarco. I think it was a diving catch, right sideline, looked like a comeback route. I think Matt put it in the
Jelani one.
No, this was Kylan. That was Kylan. It was right before the half. Yeah, when Kylan's catching balls, it makes it pretty hard for them to do that because I think Kylan's release, being a converted receiver, is so solid compared to other people. And with that release time being so quick, when he got a tight end that's going to be open, lined up against a linebacker, it's an easy toss.
Because it's tough. It's almost like putting a receiver against a linebacker. So it's like you can't really cover him. And then if you put a safety on him, well, then you still got other tight ends or other weapons that you're going to leave one-on-one with Michael Pittman Jr. or Alec Pierce for. I mean, that's why I said I would love to be an offensive coordinator for this damn offense, because like the mismatches that this offense should create is scary. If Frank Wright is on his game and Matt Ryan right now, and depending on our future quarterback, I think can be so scary.
Let's take
That's a big if, though.
So
that's a big if. I know you guys are like all happy as hell with Frank, but I'll be the angry ass old man. Like, it's one game. That's the biggest thing with Frank. His play calling is always inconsistent. He has like one good game, one bad game, one good game.
But here's the other thing too. I mean, I get it. I mean, he has been like that, but I mean, he's also gone on runs, man. He's also gone from being 1-5 to 10-6. You know what I mean? And as long as he can put the trust in the quarterback, because that literally the last sequence to win that game last week was Frank putting trust in Matt Ryan.
Right. I give that all the credit to Matt Ryan. I don't put any of that on Frank and saying Frank was an offensive genius. No, that's Matt Ryan being a vet saying he wants to freaking win it.
I'm not saying genius. I think he called a good play. I think he called a good game.
No. I think Zach's point to this is the inconsistencies worry him. Because, like, think about the slow starts that we've had. How long is it going to be that we get settled in slow starts before it ends up being some 4-12 seasons or 4-13 seasons?
Right. It all starts on the head coach. And
Yeah, those
quite frankly
do worry me as well. But that's just like what we talked about before. Like if we dive deeper into the Jacksonville tape, we always start off as this casual team that's okay with getting pushed around in like the first week of the season or the first quarter of the season or first few games before we actually start to think, okay, maybe we do need to turn it up to another level.
I feel you. And I'm not giving as much credit to Frank as I am to players. And I think ultimately going on a run and making Frank look good is going to come down to the execution of what these players do.
And that's exactly what I was telling Zach. Like,
and that's the same thing.
Might still be our coach.
And that's the same thing with when we started 1-5 and went 10-6. Ultimately, it came down to how this team executed. And I mean, I'll say this right now: if we plugged in Andrew Luck into the offense we have now with the defense we have now, I'm sorry, but I don't think there's any team that's beaten us.
We'd be up there with Kansas City at 29 points per game.
That's what I'm saying. We'd be. I mean, we were averaging over 30 points a game with Andrew Luck, with receivers that were, I mean, practice squad type receivers. You know,
Dontrell Inman.
Dontrell Inman, you know.
Hey, whoa.
Darius Hayward-Bay.
I love my guy Dontrell Inman. I thought that guy was a clutch vet.
Let's go ahead. I mean, I'm still on this Deion Jackson, and I just want to give some love to Deion Jackson. So I just went and snagged.
And there's a bolt of electricity that came out of the sky through the roof of the dome when Deion Jackson got the carry, and big man Andrew Catalon had the call. Roll it.
Jackson right up the middle, lowers his shoulder and takes it in. Hey, Kyle Brandt, that might be an angry run. Deion Jackson with the touchdown.
That might be an angry run, and Catalon, you might be a legend. Peter Andrew Catalon from the Syracuse, by way of Milburn High School, the Millers. Catalon, you legend. He's the cat. But he's got that dog in him. And so does my man Deion. People want to know, what is Angry Runs all about? How do I get on Angry Runs? It's about this. It is one man versus one man with one goal line. Who wants it? Sure, it's about stiff-arming people in oblivion. Of course it is. But it's also about this. He's a professional. What's going to happen? Unroll it. I'll tell you what's going to happen. Deion Jackson from Duke. A Duke guy looking like Elton Brand on the low block. Unbelievable. Look at this thing. Deion Jackson says afterwards, he says, to run over someone on the goal line. That's what running backs love to do. That's what we all dream about. This was his first start ever. He said he had tears coming out of the tunnel. That is what dreams are made of. I love it. And let me shout out the Colts. Running back coach Scotty Montgomery, also from Duke. Yeah. And of course, their offensive coordinator, Marcus Brady. I love this run. I love this call. The Colts are sick of losing to the Jaguars. So he says, look at this. And then the spike. And that is absolutely awesome. That is unbelievable. What do we have next? Someone's talking to me about what's next. Let's go for a vote. I think we go.
Everybody knows what was voted. Deion Jackson got the angry run of the week. Man, Kyle Brandt hypes me up with those angry runs. Jonathan Taylor, I think, has like 5 or 6 of those, to be honest.
Yeah, he actually had one. I think his first one was against Jacksonville as well. He blew up like 2 Jacksonville defenders in the same play. That was pretty crazy to see Deion Jackson get a very similar one.
That was JT's rookie year. I wish Kyle Brandt did the angry runs like 10 years ago when we had Andrew Luck at quarterback. I don't think it was 10 years ago. I think it was like 9 years ago, 8 years ago when we were playing Denver. And no, it wasn't Denver. Who was it? I think it was Denver.
I was going to say, I don't know about Denver because I think that's the game where he got the lacerated spleen.
It was. That was it. And it was the play that he got it on. He trucked 2 linebackers. No, I lied. It was Cincinnati. He trucked 2 linebackers. It was Mauga and the other dude that they had. And he trucked both.
That was a shutout. That was a shutout, right?
Perfect. Yeah, we destroyed them that game.
Y'all remember Vontae Davis laid out Giovanni Bernard 2 plays in a row?
No, that was a different game, Zach. That was against the Bengals.
That's what we're talking about. The Bengals.
Oh, I thought you said
I
Broncos.
corrected it.
Oh, my
I
bad.
corrected it. I corrected it.
Okay.
Because I remembered Maluga. I couldn't remember who he played for.
You guys
He
know
played
what?
for Cincinnati.
After that game, I went and bought me a Vontae Davis jersey because we've never had a corner that came up and hit like that. I still got that jersey. It's about 3 times smaller than I am now. But that was my favorite. That's my favorite Colts corner of all time. I love Vontae Davis. That's my guy.
You still ride with him after he retired at halftime?
Yep, because it wasn't with the Colts. It was with some other team that sucked.
The Bills.
So with the emergence
It was with the Bills at the time they were.
with the emergence of Deion Jackson being a valuable, to me at least, a valuable number 2 back, do you think that they will see a more limited role for Hines necessarily out of the backfield, or do you think it'll be more of a running back by committee like JT on the first 2 downs, and then the third down is between whoever it is?
I think this is going to be really telling about Frank Reich because you'll see a couple things come from this, and I don't see there's any way that Deion Jackson could just go back to being a sit-em guy because he really earned a way to at least get himself like 5 carries a game or something, like 5 touches a game, whatever it is. But at the same time, you got to remember how elite Nyheim Hines was when Phillip Rivers was our quarterback, and then obviously JT is a 3-down back. So
but Hines is, in my opinion, Hines is only available is only elite in the passing game.
But here's the thing.
In the running game, we just run them straight up the butt.
Hold on. So let's see this, right? Because if you look at how Frank called the game last week, if we had Nyheim Hines last week, I'm telling you, we would have ran up the score. Because like if you look at the amount of times we ran swing passes, the amount of times Deion Jackson was the first target on these pass plays. I mean, Matt Ryan, I think at least 8 of those 10 plays, Matt Ryan took the snap and instantly turned and threw it to Deion.
But they would have schemed for that too. They would have schemed.
Right.
They would have schemed a different game for Nyheim Hines.
Right.
Definitely.
But with the emergence of Deion, you're essentially taking away the valuability, the validity of Hines, in my opinion, because Hines is in an incredibly limited role. He's a scat back or he's a receiving option out of the backfield. So you have Deion, who's a bigger back, can do it both, and is a true number 2, like JT, or like JT being a 1. So you've essentially limited Hines and essentially handcuffed him and pigeonholed him, because are you going to play all 3 at the same time? You're going to put
exactly what you're saying right there is the reason that I'm saying that. Frank is going to find out a lot about Frank Reich because exactly the way you're thinking is exactly the way defenses are going to think. So if you sit there and think that every time Hines is going to come into the game that is going to be a passing play, that is our advantage.
Yeah, but tendencies it usually is because Frank doesn't break tendencies.
But it's not even only that. You can't let it be a tendency against your own offensive strategy. If you look now that Deion Jackson has this, his name is now known across the NFL, right? Now it's going to make it more complicated. Do we stop giving Hines the ball more? Probably not. Why? Because how often has he touched the ball this year? But if you really think about it, now it's just going to confuse defenses more because who are they going to game plan against? Deion Jackson or Nyheim Hines?
I hope he puts all 3 in the game at one formation.
Oh, I agree.
Put Sammy at quarterback and just run the old triple option. Like, put it back in the pistol and go crazy. Like,
let's go to the wing T.
Right.
Hey, let's go ahead and answer this real quick.
I was just about to say that.
Brock just asked, what do you think about Sam making QB2 and having schemes built for him to be involved? I want to be completely honest. I've been calling bullshit since the moment he was moved up to QB2. Everyone here can vouch. I said it.
Yeah.
When they said, oh, no, he's moved up so we can have scheme reasons. And I said, no, that you don't do that. You don't drop Nick Foles, who is a Super Bowl MVP, to QB3 if Sam Ehlinger is not dominating at practice. I'm just saying that's from coaching experience. That's from watching the NFL as long as I have. I don't think he was brought up because of scheme reasons. And there was also a report today that I don't remember who brought it to the
So I can go.
You can go ahead and comment.
So Ashley sent a message to us. It was posted by Colts Cave on Instagram. This was per what's his name? Per Matt Bowen, I believe it was.
1070 fan.
Kevin Bowen. Colts owner Jim Irsay had some influence on the Sam Ehlinger being moved to QB2 and demoting Nick Foles because he wasn't happy with the way Matt Ryan was playing and felt Sam Ehlinger has a higher ceiling. So that was the whole reasoning for this and behind Sam going to number 2. And so to answer your question pretty much for the schemes being built for him, I don't necessarily know if the schemes are built for him. This scheme has been transformed a lot. This scheme was honestly built for Andrew Luck type quarterback. So I think Sam has the capability to run it, but you need to be a QB with definite arm strength, which Sam doesn't naturally have. And then you also got to have the experience to be able to run it. So I don't know if we can necessarily trust Sam on every play regular basis. So me and Zach actually had a conversation about this earlier privately. And we were just talking about, do we think Sam is actually that guy? Could he be our QB1? And from my perspective, I was thinking back a few years ago when we had Sam and Jacob Eason, and before we traded for Carson Wentz, I was of the idea we should keep the 2 quarterbacks, have them compete, and just see where the chips may fall rather than going down the QB hole that we're currently in right now. I'm not trying to take anything away from Matt Ryan. I think he's good, but our offensive line has started to come down a bit because of the fact that we don't have the quarterback. We're not set in stone right now. So that was just my thought, but I guess we'll see where it goes. Hopefully we can beat the Titans and we don't have to see Sam at all this year.
So what my thoughts on Sam being QB2 and what everyone in the organization is saying to kind of like sugarcoat it, right? I heard Frank say multiple times this week in interviews. He did it on the roundtable when fans were in the roundtable. Fans can post on Twitter because they go to Twitter and they answer questions from fans, right? Matt Taylor and Frank Reich do that every Monday night. So if any of you get time to go on there, I would say go ahead and ask a question. All you got to do is hashtag roundtable and they'll answer it. But Frank said, hey, we brought him. What's up?
You can also listen to it on Spotify at the Colts official podcast as well.
I do listen to it on Spotify. Okay. I listen to it every Tuesday morning.
No, I was just telling anybody because you said they could ask questions, so I was just letting them know they could also listen to that conversation.
So you can listen to it live at the same time, and at the same time you go on Twitter, you ask your question, you hashtag Matt Taylor and his crew kind of pick out the best questions, and then Frank answers them. And Frank has been saying for the last week and a half that the reason they brought Sam Ehlinger up is because they wanted to have something similar to what they had with Phillip Rivers and Jacoby Brissett. I got into a little spat. I'm going to call it a spat. I don't know why, but I want to call it that. I got into it with Stephen Holder. Everyone knows who Stephen Holder is. Dude's a douchebag. He likes to downgrade fans. He likes to talk shit to fans like he's a writer. He's supposed to. He's a fucking professional sports journalist, and this guy wants to talk down to fans.
He has the blue dot. He's verified.
Yeah, and I said, and he said this. He said fans are getting too crazy about why Sam Ehlinger was brought up, and I said, okay, so instead of you bashing fans, how about you give us a reason? And he was like, well, I literally said it, and I was like, dude, that's stupid. That reasoning makes no sense because if you look at it, Sam Ehlinger is not as tall as Matt Ryan. So when it comes to QB sneaks, I would trust Matt Ryan over Sam Ehlinger in a QB sneak situation. You know what I'm saying? If it's like a yard or within that yard or a half yard, whatever, I'm going to trust Matt Ryan over Sam Ehlinger to get that.
The only thing schematically that I think you put Sammy in for is the zone read
but then that's dumb.
Like the Indy special.
But then that's stupid.
It.
But then that's stupid. Why? Because
absolutely.
The moment you put Sam Ehlinger in, the defense
obvious.
is gonna be like, "Oh shit, mobile."
It's exactly what we did to Jacoby. You would always say, "Hey, we put Jacoby in the most obvious systems to fail," like when we had Jacoby at QB2.
And does Sam Ehlinger, does Sam have a stronger arm than Matt Ryan? Probably not, in my opinion. No. So, I mean, we used him in situations of Hail Mary. We used him in situations of QB sneaks. That's it. Why would you take Nick Foles if Nick Foles is better than Sam? Why would you put him as QB3 if you planned, for schematic reasons? Get the fuck out of here, dude. I'm not falling for it.
As I said, this is a Jim Irsay special. This is Jim Irsay trying to be GM and owner, and I think he needs to just be the owner and worry about, owning things and building his team that way.
In my opinion, I think that the idea was smarter only because, okay, let's say Matt Ryan does get hurt because he was getting beat up, because the offensive line wasn't protecting up until last week, which Matt Pryor still sucked, but the rest of the offensive line was doing their job. See, I'll give Matt Pryor credit where it's due. When it was one-on-one and he didn't have to block a stunt, he was good. But he still got kind of pushed back, but he was able to hold his own. But once they stunted, the man was done. Would you rather have Nick Foles, who's also getting old and is also a statue, or would you rather have Sam Ehlinger step into the game with a terrible offensive line and be able to be mobile?
It's the mobility that Sam got moved for. I mean,
yes,
that's
100%. 100%. That's it.
It's the capability to not have to worry about every single rusher. You can make the defense play 11 on 11 rather than 11 on 10. So
I'm going to put this up here because I hope Stephen Holder sees this. I 100% agree that dude is a jackass. Stephen Holder believes that he is the smartest man on the planet Earth. And you know what? I hope he does see this because we're actually streaming on Twitter. So I hope this man sees this. If you're watching this from Twitter, share this, tag him. Dude's a jackass. Come after me. I don't care. I'll school you any day. Dude's an idiot, man. Like, everything he posts up is like the same cookie cutter shit that Frank says, and it's the shit that drives us nuts. And I'm like, bro, you can't be that stupid,
man.
This is why I like Zach Kiefer. This is why I like Kevin Bowen, because those two, they'll actually come out of that box of like, hey, this is what you want to hear, and they'll tell you how the fuck it is.
That's indie media, though. It's incredibly soft.
Yeah,
I thought it's Stephen Holder's with ESPN, isn't he?
He's with the Athletic.
Athletic. Mike Wells is ESPN.
Like Damon can't stand Dan Dockich, but I respect Dan Dockich because,
I like him.
I don't like him.
Because he asks,
He's real.
tough questions. Yeah.
He's real.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
How often is he wrong, though?
Bro, I go on Twitter.
Hardly ever. It's why I have the Grigson versus Ballard debate, and people get angry. But I'm like, Grigson won. What does Ballard give you? 5-11.
Yeah, if Ballard had Andrew Luck, he'd be winning too. I don't
Twitter.
Like I don't like that argument by Dan Dychik. I hate it. I think it's stupid. I don't really like the guy. I don't.
All I noticed. So
if you take into account quarterbacks and think about how many coaches and GM jobs that have been saved due to a great quarterback, it
hundreds.
It really doesn't make the argument. So I hate the fact that he even goes there.
All right,
Bill O'Brien.
Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and start talking about Tennessee tomorrow. So Tennessee, there's a few key things that I've heard this week about Tennessee. Right, one, their pass rush is phenomenal. Right, so that matchup between Matt Pryor, because you know what, and this is another thing that I got into another spat. I'll say that with Stephen Holder. He said that the key matchup is Quentin Nelson and Jeffrey Simmons. You're high as shit if you think Mike Vrabel is going to keep Jeffrey Simmons over Quentin Nelson when you got Matt Pryor on the other side. What do you
know? No, apparently, if you write on paper, you don't think the D-line will move around, I guess.
I was like, bro, I am willing to bet my paycheck that Jeffrey Simmons is going to go against Matt Pryor more often than he will against Quentin Nelson tomorrow. If you see the tape from last week, Jeffrey Simmons is going to be there. But yeah, and then so their pass rush, I believe, is 5th right now. But their secondary is dead last. So if Colts fans were expecting to see Jonathan Taylor a lot tomorrow with him being back, you guys might as well just go ahead and put your Matt Ryan jerseys on or whatever receiver you have, because
your Carson Wentz jersey with the tape.
Yeah, with the tape.
Well,
whatever.
I hope, and I'll say this from a play calling standpoint, I want the Colts to run JT early. I mean, put the 10 guys in the box, the 9 guys in the box, and then let Matt eat. Because if we can run the ball on Tennessee, then we can do whatever we want, because they'll be too worried about stopping JT, and then Matt just hits him with the cheese.
I like that because here's the thing, right? You can't run within the tackles against Tennessee. You can't. If you run within the tackles, you're not going to gain shit. You have to run to the outside. You have to get to the perimeter, right? So that's what Frank has to dial up. And the thing is you can't stretch it too far, right? You can't just run stretch plays all goddamn day with a single back formation. You have to be able to. Tomorrow, I expect somebody to be in that backfield, lead blocking for Jonathan Taylor. If I'm Frank, that's what I'm doing. If I'm trying to get that run game going, there has to be somebody back there.
His pass blocking help is going to help a bunch too, because I watched our boy Philip Lindsay look like a crash test dummy, picking up multiple defenders out of shotgun these last couple weeks. So that's going to help a ton.
I agree.
Scrimmage yards or total yards, Ash? Or rushing yards, I mean. Scrimmage yards or rushing yards?
Yeah, so Ashley here. So remember, guys, I said, please read the comments off, right? Spotify. Last week I listened to our Spotify when I put it on, and DeMarco was answering a bunch of stuff from the comments, and he wasn't reading them off. So, he's just talking. No one knows what the actual question is. So for all of our listeners, as we're getting our we're getting out there. Ashley's asking who will have more yards, JT or Henry.
More rushing yards between JT or Henry.
So now she's asking for rushing, JT or Henry, and I'm going to go against the grain here, and I'm going to say Henry's going to have more rushing yards than JT tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. He is their offense.
Yeah. He's 100% their offense. Why? Because their passing game is also bottom of the league.
Also tied in.
Ryan Tannehill is smart. He doesn't turn the ball over, but he's got no one to throw to. He only has Robert Woods. They just lost Burks, so Burks is out, so they don't have him. And really, that comes down to some key matchups that I have to talk about later. But, Derrick Henry is their offense, and he's starting to look like the old Derrick Henry. So the key matchup here is it depends on what DeForest Buckner is able to do, because last game we didn't have DeForest Buckner. Last time we played Tennessee, not the last game, but the last time we played Tennessee, we didn't have DeForest Buckner.
I mean, to me,
go ahead, Zach.
Go ahead, Dan. Oh,
I mean, defensively, what do y'all think? You good?
Go ahead.
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
I think this game literally comes down to coaching and adjustments. I mean, I look for Tennessee to do what they always do, come out when something's not working and find something that works and pound it down our throats because Colts are soft and can't stop it. And then it's, Frank Reich. Either this is the game plan we had, and I don't know how to differentiate from a game plan, and won't make the adjustments necessary and won't do what, he does. Or Frank coaches the game of his life, and, we completely switch everything up and we win this game. But it literally all starts and ends with coaching and the appropriate adjustments.
I want to say something that you said, right? That Frank doesn't like to that he doesn't seem to know how to deviate from the game plan. And this is why, right? And I heard this on Tuesday morning when I listened to Roundtable. Frank answered a question, and he said it like this. I don't remember what the question was, but I remember his answer because it kind of was like a ticking time bomb in my head, and I was like, this is why I don't like Frank, right? This is why I'll never be a huge fan of Frank. I love the team, but Frank is just, when he wins, cool. When he loses, I hate you. When you win, I just don't hate you as much. He said it like this. I don't know the stats. So meaning, right, he doesn't pay attention to how many times he throws the ball. He doesn't pay attention to how many times he runs the ball. And I get that. Coaches don't focus on that. As a coach, I've never focused on that. But when he said that, when he goes in halftime, not every game, right? He said it like this. Sometimes, it's not always, that at halftime, he'll look at the stats. Someone will come up to him with the stat sheet, tell him how many times he's thrown the ball, how many times he's ran the ball. So what he's
They don't have
telling
someone
them-
who charts plays.
No, they do.
A pass play, a run play.
They do.
I would
They
be
do.
communicating with
That's
him
what-
every game.
Facts.
That's what they
Facts.
do, but he has to tell them at a certain point. So he's not going to want to sit there in his ear because he's also a play caller. So he can't tell you, "Hey, you got 7 passes now," or "You got 7
But-
rushes." So he's
but
in-
I got- but
he's
here's the
in
thing.
increments of a series.
But my argument is he said specifically at halftime. At halftime is the
That's
time
the-
you need to be saying that.
Yeah, that's the perfect time to be adjusting things
Right.
and saying, I'm a little run heavy the first half. Let's hit the play action game and spread things out. Or, you know what, I was a little soft, not running the ball. Let's see if we can gouge these guys up the middle or on the corners of the defense.
Right. And that was one of the negative things that I heard this week after the win. Because someone asked him about, how many times he's passed and all these things and how he kept passing in the second half. And he was like, well, this week I didn't know how much I was passing until the end of the game. I didn't know because I didn't look at it at halftime. I'm sorry, as a head coach, right? You have
And a play caller.
right.
I wouldn't care if he wasn't the head coach, but
Right.
he's the play caller.
You have a certain amount of assistants
Right.
that are out there making whatever adjustments you need.
Paid to do that, by the way.
The first thing you should be doing at halftime is going up to the person who's keeping your stat sheet. How many times have I run the ball? How many times have I passed? What do you have written down? Let me see this. Let's go over this real quick so I can make my adjustments in 15 minutes. Let me get with my coaches, right? That should be the main priority at halftime. It shouldn't be some kind of freaking pep talk. It shouldn't be. It needs to be, hey, man, I've thrown the ball, 28 times in the first half. Do I really want to throw the ball, 76 times in the second half or 66 times in the second? Do I want that? No, I don't.
I mean, if they're not having success with it, don't do it. It's one thing, like last week, 58 passes and 46 of them we had success on them.
We were
Right.
successful.
But, I mean, that blows my mind that Frank openly admitted. I mean, because what's the point? What does Marcus do then? If Frank calls the plays, what's Marcus doing?
Right.
He'd be the perfect one to chart run, pass, run, pass, run, pass,
Right.
run, pass. And then you're right there. You're essentially Frank's right-hand man.
Right.
Give him every week, every game I would be communicating. That blows my mind.
Real quick. Ashley, so Roundtable is a show that Matt Ryan does, or Matt Taylor does, every Monday night. It's pretty much him and Rick Venturi, somebody else, I can't remember the name.
It's on the Colts official podcast. Colts official
It's
podcast.
Colts official podcast. And then they talk to Frank Wright every Monday night. They talk about the game. If it's not Monday night, they do a roundtable on Tuesday so that they can talk about, our game was Monday night, right? It's a good show. I honestly listened to damn near all of Matt Taylor's shows. Ever since they announced him as the voice of the Colts, I absolutely love him. He's a great guy. So if you can go on Colts.com, you can listen to it. Or if you have the Colts app, you can listen to it. You can listen to it on Spotify.
I listen to it every day.
Every day.
Whatever drops, I listen to JJ Stankovic, Matt Laura, Jeffrey Gorman. I listen to all those guys.
Hey, if you don't listen to Rick Venturi, you need to. This guy is damn near a genius when it comes to football. So if you don't listen to him, you probably should. This man film studies from the moment the game's over until his shows. And then after the first show, he continues to film study. So all week, this man is constantly coming up with new stats that he noticed from watching film. So Rick Venturi is a hell of a guy. But yeah, that's what the roundtable is. That's what that is.
So speaking of Rick Venturi, that brings me to my next thing about what I'm looking for is Colts and Titans game. It brings you back from the Jags game. So just like you said, Frank Wright didn't know how many passes versus runs he had ran in that game versus Jacksonville. We also what I saw that was very key for us in the running game was there was no adjustment. So, I mean, Jacksonville basically would have a strong side run. They had flopped the side, moved their tight end over completely, and our defense did not move at all. Like, literally not even shifting from weak side to strong side. Like, no adjustment. And so that was the thing for me. And I guess they pretty much didn't adjust the whole game. And that was Gus Bradley's first answer when he came up. He was like, we didn't adjust to it. And to me, I thought that was pretty crazy. That's something you'd see playing against maybe your son. You're playing against him on Madden if he's like 5 years old. That's something you see in high school or something. You see a formation.
Keep running it.
You just don't know what to do, and they just keep flipping the play. You just don't adjust to it. So that is going to be my biggest thing is how are we going to adjust on the defensive side when things start to switch? Or
So I want to say that one running back that Jacksonville had, I think it was their third back. Was it
Jermichael Hasty?
Jamal, yeah, him. That play specifically was just a perfectly drawn up play. That touchdown was basically created because of the way that the offensive line blocked down, took away all the gaps. Our secondary.
If you go and watch that again, they shifted that play from the left side to the right side, and nobody adjusted. So we literally only had one backer there that ended up getting blocked, and that's why it burst open.
And this is to me, that's one of those reasons why we miss Shaq. Right? Because that's ultimately on whoever's calling those adjustments defensively. And Shaq is one of those guys that would be like, all right, well, they just called an adjustment. We're going to switch our adjustment.
And the tough
part is
Bobby Oden. We have a new defensive coordinator, so that's also the defensive coordinator for him to communicate to his guy like, hey, you're calling plays. You got to be my eyes on the field. I need you to make this adjustment.
We also have to remember that Bobby Okereke and Zaire Franklin aren't used to that type of stuff. That's Darius.
But that's what I'm saying. But one of those guys. But we're 6 weeks in. One of you guys needs to be Shaq right now. I understand if that's like
100%.
week 2, week 3,
100%.
But it's like, come on, bro, we're 6 weeks in. One of you guys at this point needs to be like, okay, I'm the guy. I'm making this call. I'm adjusting. So basically, if something was to happen, you could be like, that was my fault. I made the wrong call. I thought I seen this, and ended up being this. Boom, story solved. But at this point in the season, like we're almost midway, and you're telling me that we're just not adjusting for 4 quarters. For 4 quarters, for 60 minutes, you're telling me we don't even tell the line just to slide? Like, hey, bro, tight end's not over there no more. He's over here. Slide, like just a slide.
That's Bradley for you.
I mean, this is high school.
I don't even think that's Gus Bradley, man, because at that point, no one on defense has a mic in their helmet. At that point,
who's ever got the green dot has a mic.
He's saying when the clock gets down.
When the clock gets down,
after like 15 seconds, the clock shuts off.
Yeah. There's no one on defense that's able to hear Gus. Like defensively, you can only talk when it comes to calling plays. After that, it's like it hits a certain time on the clock. You can't do that. So that's ultimately on whoever is the Mike backer or whoever's calling those plays, right? And ultimately, that's normally Shaq, who's the will. He's not even the Mike, which is weird to me because I played Mike, and as Mike, I was calling plays, I was calling adjustments, whatever.
When he plays, he's the Mike in his system.
I think it's also you don't have to be either one.
Yeah, because our system is more of a. I mean, they say it's a 4-3, but we're more of a
4-2-5 with a fat nickel.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why he plays what he plays, but. Ultimately, that just comes down to Okereke not being able to make that adjustment when it came to it. So, I mean, and that's okay. It was, 6 games in, I understand he should be able to make those adjustments, but
even 100 yards into the 100 yards into the game, we got to be able to make some kind of adjustment. I feel like I could walk in there and me is not playing any downs to just be like, hey, slide your guys in front of you because you also need to know, like, I need to be free to make a tackle. So
to be 100% honest, if you look at how Jaguars schemed this week,
it was a hell of a scheme too. I want to give them credit.
They only schemed to run against us. They didn't scheme to pass against us until the fourth quarter.
No, that's because they thought they were going to be playing with the lead for 9 quarters. That's
right. So they actually. Because they knew that we were going to come in and try and take away Trevor Lawrence. Because in week 2, Trevor Lawrence did his thing, so they did the opposite, and ultimately he didn't come into play until that fourth quarter, which was that last drive that Jacksonville had that made it 27-26, and he had an unbelievable drive. I'm tracking that's 18 plays on that last drive.
Outside of that run though that Jermichael Hastings had for the 60 yards or whatever, he did go for -4 the rest of the way. So
and to be honest, I mean, if you look at it, there was only a few big plays that made those yards look fluffed, right?
Travis Etienne had about 4 big carries.
Yeah.
And then James Robinson, I believe, was pretty much bottled up outside.
There was also a reverse with Agnew that.
Well, Agnew always kills us, so I'm not surprised by that guy.
Yeah. So I mean that's ultimately what it was. So let's go ahead.
Ashley says she hopes Faison plays better.
I hope he doesn't play at all.
I was about to say I hope
he doesn't have any snaps.
All right, so let's talk about Tennessee, right? Because we're talking a lot about Jacksonville. We're all hyped up that we won, and that's great.
That was my bad. I was just went back to that just to adjustment. So, I mean, this goes back to the Tennessee Titans game that we're going to play this week. The Titans honestly don't adjust. They don't get as creative as Jacksonville does with their runs. Tennessee pretty much does one thing. They put one guy in the backfield, and they're going to run him down your throat and run him into your face and run him into your chest. Yes, sir.
Power concept, man.
Yeah, they're just going to run them into your face every freaking play until you get tired of tackling them and you go sit on the sideline.
So let's talk about Tennessee real quick, right? So their pass rush is top of the league, and why? Because they win first and second down. So that's a key thing that Indy needs to remember, because we don't win first and second down, right? Tennessee does, and that's why we lost the last game against Tennessee. Is because they were winning first and second down. We can't get put in third and long because their pass rush is just different, right? They're solid. They found a way to make Jeffrey Simmons and Danico Autry work the same way that we had Danico Autry and DeForest Buckner work, right? It's nothing different. They're all similar. So
and that comes down to the running game getting going early. If that's the case, because we can't come out. I mean, look at last week. We even came out multiple 3rd and 9, 3rd and long, where we're dependent on quick passes out the backfield to move the chains, things like that. So that's just going to come down to the running game getting going early, period. If it doesn't, it's going to be another one of those situations where we're dinking and dunking.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
This game's all predicated on the run game.
But the Deacon and Duncan could possibly work. Why? Because they're averaging, right? Their secondary is averaging 287 yards a game.
Yeah, but when you let a defense pin their ears back and our shoddy offensive line as it is, I mean, that's a recipe waiting for disaster.
So you guys are going to the running game and the dink and dunk. We got to remember this. Matt Ryan threw for 300 plus against them last time we played. We also need to remember this isn't about running game, or this isn't about quick passes. This is establish who you are from the get-go. From the first quarter. Whatever we're going to do, we need to make sure we come out. If it's going to be quick rhythm passes, if it's going to be the run game, we need to have a good mixture. We need to make sure we're being the aggressors and not letting Tennessee dictate this game, because that's what Tennessee wants to do. They want to get a lead on us, get a 14, get a 7-point lead, whatever they need to do. And they're just going to play defense and force us back and then just come after us. Like, we need to come out and we need to be the aggressors, and we need to show them that we're not going to be pushed around.
So to caveat off of that, right? And that's like a big Army word. Sorry that I used that. We make fun of all of first sergeants because every time a commander makes a briefing, they like to, the first sergeant likes to be like, well, they got all that. And we're all like, Trev knows what I'm talking about. If he was here, he'd back me up. But realistically, it's going to come to what our defense does, not our offense, right? Because our offense is going to figure it out and be able to move the ball and be able to score somehow, right? Jelani Woods had 2 touchdowns last time against Tennessee. We were in the red zone 4 times the last time we played Tennessee in the second half.
We scored 2 touchdowns, 1 field goal, and 1 turnover.
Facts, right? So the idea is offensively, we are good. We can be able to move the ball against this team. What we need to do is defensively, right? And this is where the key matchup comes in. And my key matchup in this game is
I hope you're gonna say who I think.
Kenny Moore. Kenny Moore is my key matchup, and this is why. And this is to give some credit to Rick Venturi because I love
I'm
Rick Venturi.
almost kind of glad you didn't say my guy because I got a key matchup too. I got a key matchup.
So here's two wide receivers that Tennessee has. You got Westbrook and you got Phillips. Both of them play differently. Kenny Moore's got to cover both of them.
They just activated Phillips too. Yeah.
Right? And Westbrook is a deep threat, right? So in that slot, he's going to go deep crossers, deep posts, deep outs, whatever. So Kenny Moore's got to be able to know that when Westbrook is on the field, it's most likely going to be some kind of a deep threat, right? So Kenny Moore's got to already play kind of like cautious of that. And then you got Phillips. Phillips, that guy can run a short route probably to the best of them in the league. If you really watch him on tape, which I have this week, I found time during work to watch Phillips on tape. That man can run a route. When it comes to a slant or a crossing route, Kenny Moore has got to be ready for that situation. So if Kenny Moore didn't study tape this week, you're going to see it tomorrow. You're going to see it when either two of those are on the field. Damon wants to say something. I heard him breathe. Go ahead.
Well, I haven't. I mean, if that's the case, I really want to see Kenny step up. I feel like he's got on the worst end of a couple plays this season out of the slot, anything going over the middle, things like that. I feel like it's kind of been caught sleeping, especially in a goal line front. So, like you said, we got to be the aggressor early. We got to get a pass breakup early, a big hit early, turnover something early, so we can kind of flip the script where they're playing catch up to us, and it's not us coming down 17-0.
I hope Tennessee tries Gilmore because I think Gilmore is going to respond. I mean, that's just me. Like,
I wish that
Stephon Gilmore versus anybody else, I'm not too worried about. But I think Tennessee is desperate, to prove that they're not just, Ryan Tannehill special, hand it to Henry and watch them go.
Unfortunately, I totally disagree with you there, Zach. I mean, they owned us for the last 4 games, so I honestly think Tennessee thinks they're big brothers right now. I think they think they can push us around. I think they think they can kick us in the face and they can spit on us while we're on the ground, and they just really don't.
I mean, I laugh, but I ask them, how many rings have they won? And they choked in the playoffs? I mean,
I don't know, man. It's tough for me to say. I'm that guy that always sits there and says, like, I don't understand why Colts fans hate Tennessee fans because we've literally been over them for forever. So anytime they try and argue with me, I'm like, well, you guys got 4 division titles in 23 years, so go away, little bro.
Hold on. Last year, right? Tennessee was number 1 seed, right? We got that.
Yeah.
And the only reason they were number 1 seed was Patrick Mahomes missed multiple games last year.
Yeah, I mean,
missed 1 game.
But here's the thing: like, half those teams struggled. They had stronger schedules. Our schedule last year were fairly easy, and Tennessee's schedule was fairly easy.
I don't even go off that. I just go off the fact that, hey, you were number 1 seed, and guess what? You have the same amount of playoff wins as the Indianapolis Colts, buddy.
That's 100%.
And then the year before that, we both made the playoffs and we both got exited the first round. So they love to sit here and be like, "Oh yeah, we won this or whatever, blah 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 blah." And I'm like, okay, whatever. Go on with your little division titles that you have less than the Texans, but you want to keep trying to compare yourself to the Colts. So that's just my thing there. I honestly, I think we need to come out and win this game. Just to make sure we put ourselves back at the top of this division. Got a game lead on them. And we can finally be back where we're supposed to be because this is where we should have been for a while now. But that does bring me to my key matchup, Matt. My key matchup is Tyquan Lewis.
Yes, that was my number 2.
That's who I thought you were going to say. But I'm almost kind of glad you just said Kenny Moore, not Tyquan Lewis, because it's me. When I look at Tyquan Lewis,
are you talking about last week?
Not just from last week. It's just the way he's been playing as well. But if we think back to the game, he actually got injured last year versus Tennessee. My guy had an interception. I think he had a sack, and I think he had a forced fumble. This dude has been an absolute game wrecker versus Tennessee for the last, like, I want to say about 3 games. And the way that he's playing right now against those boot play actions, the way he was coming out on Trevor Lawrence and not getting faked by that run, I think this is the perfect matchup to have him versus those edges instead of Kwity Paye, who gets sucked into that run.
I agree.
I love this matchup for Tyquan Lewis. I think he will be the matchup for our game here right now. And then I think if we can keep those play action boots down, just like we talked about with the first matchups, we can come in and we can stop Henry. We don't let Tennessee do whatever they think they're going to do. We go out, we get us a touchdown. Tannehill has to go and pass it. He can give us another 2-3 interceptions, just like he did when Wentz had the 2 sprained ankles. Tyquan Lewis is my matchup.
Bro.
Never forget that game.
Bro. Tyquan last week, I kept watching Tyquan last week. I don't know how many times the Jaguars called that boot, and Tyquan was like, nah, fuck you, dude. I'm coming with you.
Coming down.
Every time he did not fall for the play action. That man learned how to contain, and it was just that man was containing that side. And
I loved it.
Bro, it was beautiful. Because if you look at it, right, anytime a quarterback, kind of rolls off to the, wherever they're going to bootleg, they're going to bootleg to their strong side. So if they're right-handed, they're going to bootleg to the right so that they can get that power, right? And he knew it. He was like, bro, I don't care. I'm coming with Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
And if he does that tomorrow, we win this game. And that's 100. I don't even care. Like, that's just it. Tyquan Lewis. So my key matchups were between them two. It was Kenny Moore, and it was also Tyquan. And I wanted to go Kenny Moore because a lot of people aren't going to look at the slot receiver, right? And that's why I went Kenny Moore instead of Tyquan. They were kind of tied in my position. That's why when I knew you were going to start talking, it was Tyquan.
Yeah, I gotta go Tyquan, man. I mean, those boot action quarterbacks been killing us for a little while now, and the tough part is we got 3 of them in our division, and I mean, for some reason we just don't never think the quarterback is gonna boot out, and it kills us. And Tyquan, when he has played, he has been killing that play the last 3 or 4 games. So that was my matchup there. And then I also like our D-line versus their O-line. Nate Davis is also out, so I think our defensive tackle should be able to eat against this Tennessee offensive line as well. So as much as I got my little buddy. He keeps coming in here. So as much as they like to keep trying to talk about our offensive line, we have those same capabilities, and our defensive line has been playing better as of the last 3 games. So
Ashley just told me the Phillies tied it up. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go Phillies.
Let's go Tyquan. Defensive line.
We need, and they got what? Roger McCreary, Terrence Mitchell, secondary. I think there's 2 starting corners, right? Mm-hmm. We got to have Pittman. We've literally not even referenced him because he's like Mr. Consistent for us. But 13 receptions, 130 yards. I mean, I don't know how we forget. I think it's because he's so consistently great for us. Does all the dirty work, going over the middle, taking massive hits, working in and outside of routes, forcing pass interferences. I think he's going to have a good game, and Alec Pierce does as well. And I love to see Parrish get involved early as well. I mean, I loved his usage. That drive that got us our first lead of the game, Matt had to step up in the pocket and pretty much force it into double coverage right there over the middle to move that 3rd and 6.
So it was a play that he wasn't even looking. That was the play that went viral. Matt was getting destroyed in that play, and he didn't look. It was so that play was supposed to be a screen, and the screen was blown up from the get-go, and Matt was able to just toss that thing right over to Pittman, and Pittman made that catch. Bro, I agree 100%. And it's not that we're taking away anything from Michael Pittman, right? I think it was just some guys don't get as much love as Michael Pittman does, like Kylen Granson and Alec Pierce. I think Kylen Granson last week was a huge factor, and he almost was a huge factor in a loss.
Week before, Broncos. That third down play, he took for what? 25, 30 yards. You guys past midfield, missed a tackle.
Yeah. And last week he scared us against Jacksonville because he fumbled that one freaking screen. He just fumbled it. And then he came back on that last drive where he beat dude on the inside and went to the outside. And it's Michael Pittman is not forgotten. That man is a monster. And he reminds me of Marvin Harrison because Marvin Harrison was so quiet and so humble as a receiver when he was doing such great things. And that's why I like Michael Pittman so much.
Yeah,
and then,
he's a player.
And then I think right now we have Alec Pierce who is starting to step into that Reggie Wayne role where now we have a true wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. And I feel bad for T.Y. because T.Y. never had that. T.Y. was always wide receiver all.
And we tried multiple guys to backfill that as well. We tried Hakeem Nicks. We tried Dante Moncrief. We tried multiple people to kind of fill that second role, and it didn't really work for us. But back to your point about Pittman, he's one of those players that's statistically recognized, and you're going to get that out of a small market team. You're going to get those guys that go for 1,300 yards receivers, and they're not going to go make those crazy downfield catches, which we know Mike can do. But at the end of the day, that comes down to play calling. And something like last week, we're running these short routes, and we're not going necessarily vertical. That's where we're going to get those 13 receptions, 130 yards, really just moving the sticks for us. And then opening it up for Pierce down the field, like it did at the end of the game. Perfect play call, by the way. I'll tell you what I like about it the most. I love Matt's trajectory on that throw. Literally the perfect lob it up. Pierce did more on the play because he forced a corner inside, got outside as quick as he could. So he forced that separation. Easy throw, easy pitch and catch from Matt Ryan. He can throw that 30-yard ball in his sleep.
So Zach had some issues. His laptop died, so he had to leave. So just so if anybody was understanding. Man, I agree, dude. I've watched this tape probably 10 times this week. Every day I went into work, I watched it. I rewatched the game. And that play alone was just – that was Matt trusting Alec and Alec Pierce showing his ability to be clutch. And I love that when they say, hey, Reggie gave him advice on how to be patient. And to me, I'm not a receiver, right? I'm a defensive guy. So to me, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't know if you guys have played offense. I never played offense. I played defense. I played fullback, but I just kind of blocked because I was aggressive. But I was always a defensive guy. So when they talk about
patience, if you think about patience, think about two
Let's
people.
Talk about it.
Two people. When they say when Reggie tells Alec Pierce to think about patience, you think of Stephon Diggs and Devontae Adams. Notice how when they sit at the line of scrimmage and when they get off, the first thing they always do is go from their stance to standing straight up almost to breaking down into a route. Okay. That's the patience. So when they're breaking down into that route, they're setting the DB up for whatever route they're going to go to.
Okay.
And that's the patience that he's talking about. So if you go back to the first play where he says, I wasn't patient, Reggie told me, after he rushes into that route and the DB is able to stay right there on his hip. And when he turns back, he can't get a catch. Look back to the touchdown catch. Alec Pierce, he starts in the stance, gets up, sets him up like he's coming in for the slant. Boom, breaks outside, wide open. You got the yard of separation.
So if you want to talk about patience, I want to bring up let's bring that Kylen Granson touchdown back, right?
Kylen Granson touchdown?
Not the Kylen Granson touchdown, but the Kylen Granson catch.
Oh, the catch.
You look at this as, is this the patience that you're talking about? How he kind of just.
So that's not necessarily patience that we're looking for there. Right there, what you're looking for is you're looking just to beat your guy one-on-one. Who, what happens is that linebacker.
Double move, by the way.
Yeah, he believes he has help on the inside. So what happens is as he lets Granson get up the field, he lets him get inside of him. He has bad technique and lets Granson get behind him. He has to turn his back to the quarterback. He doesn't know where the ball's at. linebackers lost in space.
And Granson had to go on his second break as well to turn the safety. Force it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I said he thought he had help inside. So it was a good play call to have that route be ran the way it was inside to cut back outside. So you basically lose a safety and a linebacker in the same play.
Well, if you really want to talk about it, I mean, it's not really a drawn play to run inside then outside. That's ultimately on the tight end. That's on Kylan being smart.
Well, I wouldn't doubt that being a smart route.
It depends on the formation and stuff like that too. I mean, you're gonna have some little nuances to schemes and whatnot, and how
a lot of those things come down to what they see while they're on the line of scrimmage. I mean, Colin Granson running that inside was smart, right?
It's gonna be muscle memory off of how you see it from different defenses and how you know how to get open. This is why people always say they don't have a veteran receiver. They know how to get open. That's the point of being able to see that you have the experience to know how you need to run that route.
Now, I want to ask you two, since Zach's not here, and if Zach's still,
he says he's trying to come back in.
Okay, if he comes back in, I want to ask you guys: do you think that Michael Pittman and Reggie Wayne, right? Because even Mike, so I'm trying to ask. Okay. Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce are like Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne, right? And the reason I ask this is because Marvin Harrison was drafted a whole lot longer than Reggie Wayne was, right? A whole lot before. Do you think these two receivers could be the duo that we've seen between them two?
We need more time. I just think we need more time and kind of see what their archetype is. The only thing that worries me is how similar they play. They play extremely similar, which is why I think we kind of need a catalyst out of the slot. But, I mean, there's plays out there that I'm sure y'all seen, like those moving the sticks plays where I'm like, okay, was that Pierce or Pittman? Okay, that was Pierce. I just think it's a little bit too early. You're gonna see some serious situations where one of them is going to be wide receiver 1, one of them's going to be wide receiver 2. There's multiple games where you saw Marvin take a step back, especially later in his career when Reggie started picking up the slack a little bit, especially down the field. I just think we need more time.
What about you?
I think it could be something that we can look forward to seeing for the next 8 to 10 years. The thing that I see here is that just like Damon just said, they play very similar. But the thing for me is that Alec has speed. And that's what makes the biggest difference in the world to me. Like, if you go back and look at the early Reggie and Marvin days, Reggie had speed that you really didn't see coming around like in the Super Bowl years that we had, in the deeper years that we had. We didn't get to see his speed because his speed was so much different when you go from veteran speed to just using your speed to knowing how to use your speed to get open. So it wasn't necessarily like he was on deep routes anymore. So with these two, the reason I say that I can see it is because of their hands. Both of these guys have exceptional hands. So the ability to be able to catch the ball the way Michael Pittman runs, he reminds me more of it. It would be more like like the 2011, I want to say, Baltimore Ravens with Anquan Bolden and Torrey Smith. So you got Alex Smith is kind of like that Torrey Smith with the speed and being able to run that deep ball, but he's actually a lot bigger and can actually run all of the routes of the route tree with Michael Pittman as the anchor.
That was Steve.
No, Torrey Smith.
It was Torrey Smith for Baltimore.
Smith.
I'm pretty sure Torrey did. I'm pretty sure it was Steve who played for the Baltimore Ravens.
Torrey did too.
He played after though. Steve Smith came, I think 2013 or 14.
He came the year after they won the chip.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, but yeah, so something like them, or with like the Packers with Jordy Nelson and one of their other guys, where they had the guy who had the speed and they had the guy who can pretty much be your third down chain mover. And so that's what I like from these two. I think they can take that, but just like Damon said, we need more time. We need to see how everything's going to go. We need to see how players get paid and whatnot. But I think as far as what they do right now, I could see it.
I would like to see Michael Pittman. I know it's like one of his things that keeps drives going after the catch. but putting the head down, generating contact between linebackers and safeties around you full speed, that kind of stuff does worry me. Like Reggie, what I remember about him was being very aware of his surroundings and not taking the big hits. I do think it's what kind of prolonged his career a little bit. So Mike, that's just something I do want to see, is just him maybe being a little bit safer over the middle and things like that.
Yeah, he got that dog. I want to hit everybody. I want to run everybody over.
He's a run. He's like his pops with the ball in his hands. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, turn into a running back.
Yep. Well, final score predictions, y'all.
No, hold on. Keep talking. I got something else I'm bringing up for y'all. Real quick. Keep going.
Yeah. So also with this Tennessee matchup, I do want to see how our run game looks against them. I think so. As much as we think that it couldn't be that good, we've had some Jonathan Taylor games that were really good, but he just didn't finish out the game getting carries. I think 2021, that first game he had 10 carries for about like 60 to 70 yards, and we just didn't give him the ball anymore. I mean, he had 10 carries, almost 100 yards already. So that's another thing I'd like to see. I think getting JT back will be huge for us. It'll actually make the defense kind of key in on JT. So I could see Frank using him primarily, or I could see him using more like a decoy on some downs, different plays and stuff like that. But I'd definitely like to see us mix it up and see how we can get this run game going. But again, we need to be the aggressors.
I want to hear you guys talk about Paris Campbell. And I'm surprised DeMarco hasn't brought up his guy. This whole show. Paris Campbell has probably had his best game as a Colt. One of the best games as a Colt. And you did not bring him up. It kind of upsets me, man. What's up?
So my thing is, man, my tough thing is about bringing up players after one game. It's almost like fantasy, man. It's like when you see one player go off for one big game, you're like, oh, yeah, let me start him. And you start him, and then he gets you like 2 catches for like 30 yards or something like that. And so that's my thing. I don't like to jump on.
Didn't mean to cut you off. My bad. Go ahead.
I don't like to jump on the wagon like as soon as it goes off. I want to see us be able to build on that game that they had. And then it's tough for me to see right now with the Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce, and then our tight ends, and then Campbell kind of coming in to get some of those catches and whatnot. I'd like to see him get more targets, but I'm juiced for him right now. He's doing well. I just want to see us keep getting him targets. I mean, he has every option available to him, so I just like to see us get him some more before I.
Let's get
Great block on Game Day Live. Everybody getting in the end zone, including Paris in the fall. Touchdown, Indy. Paris Campbell with the touchdown pass from Matt Ryan.
That's not a touchdown. But you know what? There he is. You know what I'm saying? There's some Paris love.
Eric Campbell.
Let's talk about it, right? Because I've been hating on him every day. And it's not hate towards him, man. It's just hate towards the fact that he's been injured so often. I want him to succeed. Why? Because him succeeding means this offense is succeeding. 100%. And that's the only play, that's a good play, right? It's a touchdown play. Jelani Woods was wide open behind him also. But let's talk about how the fact that, like, as the game went on, this man was building confidence. This man was running through tackles. He was avoiding tackles. I think he's starting to feel more confident. And I think Paris Campbell is going to come into himself. That Paris Campbell that we saw week 1 with Phillip Rivers. I know that everyone remembers that week 1 with Phillip Rivers. He was that guy that everybody was like, oh, my God, Phillip Rivers is about to be wide receiver 1, right?
Yep.
Paris Campbell, because Michael Pittman was just drafted. So everybody thought Paris Campbell was about to be wide receiver 1.
Yeah,
and then he got hurt.
I still think that was his best game.
Yeah, facts. That was his best game. And I think this game here, it brings him back. It brings Paris back. And I think it builds confidence in Paris Campbell. And I think we can be excited to see what Paris Campbell is about to bring this year. And that question mark, in my opinion, to me, is gone. Because if there's anyone in this wide receiver core that I'm excited about, yeah, you got Alec Pierce that everyone's excited about because he's a rookie, but I'm excited to see where Paris Campbell goes.
That's been my guy. I've been holding out hope for him. I was pretty down after the I don't know if it was the Kansas City game. I forgot what game it was, but he pretty much was healthy and didn't get really any targets, and Matt Ryan wasn't really looking his way. It had me discouraged for a minute there. And I'm just like, because all I've been saying is all this guy needs is health on his side, and I think sky's the limit for it. So I'm happy as hell to see that he's finally getting some capability to go there. And I hope that we keep targeting him because, I mean, as you can see, like, he's had some lucky plays. I think, was it Granson had that fumble, and Paris Campbell was right there on top of the ball. I mean, Paris Campbell's getting open, and we target him. We get him a touchdown in some short space situations, hit him on screens. So I love seeing Paris Campbell eat. I hope he keeps eating. That's my guy. I had some projections for our receiving core, so I hope they can live up to it for us.
So, and I agree, right? Because I think my bad.
Hurt the puppy.
Yeah, I don't know. Sweet. Come here. You all right? I think I scared her more than anything. But I think that PC, AP, and Michael Pittman are probably our 1, 2, and 3. I think that's our 1, 2, 3, man. And it's great because each one of them has a different style. And I think Michael Pittman is not so much the downfield guy, right? He's more of that crossing route. I'm going to be aggressive. That linebacker tries to hit me, and I'm gonna put my shoulder into your helmet type guy, right?
But he can be a downfield guy.
He can be a downfield guy at the same time. So you don't know how to game plan against him. Then you got Alec Pierce, right? Alec Pierce is a route runner who's also a downfield guy. So both of them are very similar. And you just can't kind of take away from them. Alec Pierce is also trying to find his identity. And then you have Paris Campbell. And Paris Campbell is starting to show that he is reliable. And I think all the hate last week when all those stats came out about him being, the 4.4 yards separation. I think Matt Ryan noticed that. And I think Matt Ryan honestly started looking that way. As much as Matt Ryan probably won't admit that he saw those stats, I think that he saw it and he was like, hey, man, I'm going to start looking that way because if you're 4.4 yards of separation, that's an easy completion.
Yeah, I also think he saw the film of him looking directly at Paris Campbell open for a first down and not throwing it to him. So there's a lot there that he can take away from it. But also, I do want to yes, Ashley, we do. Paris Campbell, that's our guy. Also, I want to say, damn it, let's see. Jesus, I just lost it. Michael Pittman Jr. taking that hit on third down for that first down, making the catch and holding on to the ball. I mean, a lot of receivers don't hold on to that. They do not hold on to that catch. I love Michael Pittman Jr.
Good look on that forward progress too.
So Michael Pittman Jr. was raised, if everybody knows, I believe his dad was a running back,
safety. I think, right? I thought he was a safety.
He was somebody aggressive.
Yeah, senior? No, he's a running back. He was a running back for the Bucs.
He's a running back. He was a running back.
Safety for the Bucs. Okay.
Yeah, they won the Super Bowl against the Raiders, I believe.
2000 and 2002.
Yeah. So Michael Pittman has that running back mentality. Hey, what's up, Troy? Hey, Troy, it's been a while, man. I was waiting for you. But yeah, so Michael Pittman, he has that running back mentality to him that he got from his dad. So when it comes to running the ball, I don't shy away from being concerned about Michael Pittman being able to take the ball and run with it. So when he runs, he's aggressive, and I absolutely love it. And I'm going to make this as a bold statement. I think Michael Pittman is a better run after catch runner than Odell Beckham. And it's because he doesn't run away from somebody. He runs right into you. He's going to do what he has to do to get the first down. He's not going to run 3 yards back and then run 6 yards forward to get the first down. He's going to catch the ball, and if it's 3 yards that he needs to get, he's going to put his shoulder down and run that 4 yards.
Yep. I love it. Fight for every yard. We got to have that type of guy. It's good to see that A.J. Brown has left the division, so Michael Pittman can be that guy.
100%. All right. So.
Got the, what is it, lock of the week, or is it upset of the week?
Let's do. All right. Let's see. I don't know where we at. We're going to do crew locks.
The locks of the week.
Locks of the week.
Dum dum.
Dum 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 dum. I was trying to find a sound for that this week, and I couldn't find anything. So I'm gonna continue to work on that. Okay. But go ahead, DeMarco.
My lock of the week is gonna be Dallas over Detroit. Welcome back, Dak. Dum dum. That's my lock.
Go ahead, Damon.
Ooh. I'm gonna go New England over Chicago in a big win. They pick up their pace. They get back on track in the division with Mac-10 back at QB.
Okay.
I thought Bailey Zappi was getting the start.
Nope.
Again, no, he's not. Patriots finna lose then. My boy Zappi is the GOAT.
So I'm going to go with this. And I'm going to homer. I'm going Colts over Tennessee.
Oh.
I'm going with it. Why? Because last week, at first I went Eagles, and then I went Colts.
You changed it to our
and the Colts won.
And we locked it.
And this week, I'm going to go Colts locked over Tennessee. And I think it's because I think our coaching staff had figured it out. And I think it's when Frank finally figured and
says AFC East. That's an old school. Okay.
Let's talk about it. Right? Frank right now has an energy that he hasn't had all year, right? So he didn't have it. He didn't have it through the Denver game.
He ain't had it since Andrew Luck retired.
Well, hold on. Yeah, right. I haven't seen this energy. And then after they beat Denver, he still didn't have it until it came to talking about the Jaguars. Once he started talking about the Jaguars, he had this energy that was just different about him.
I think he heard the Trayvon Walker talk. He was like, okay, I got you.
Yeah. And it's just
Troy says he think the O-line might have figured it out. I think so as well. I like it. I still like us to find a better right guard, but I think for now our offensive line will be okay. I think so.
I agree. I think right guard, outside of right guard, our offensive line has figured it out too. But Frank has been something different the last couple weeks, and I can ride with it. The first few weeks, he's kind of been energy-less. And since after the Denver win, he's had more energy than I've seen since probably Phillip Rivers, right? Carson Wentz kind of didn't give him as much energy as we expected it to. But I don't know, man. I'm ready. I'm locking Colts against Tennessee. I'm locking them.
I need them to prove it to me one more week, man. One more week. I need them to prove it to me.
Troy, since you were here last week, very active last week, let's see what you got. What kind of questions do you have this week?
Yeah, man. I need them to prove it to me, man. One more week, man. This is a very important game for me because if we go out there and we stank it up, I'm gonna be really disappointed that I put my faith into them, and it could pretty much kill our season. I mean, this game right here is make or break us, and we cannot keep losing these make or break games. We need to show. He said it's Troy says it's still O-line for him, Matt. I think he's not completely sold on the combination we got right now. I completely understand your concern
100%.
and you're not optimistic about it because I mean they honestly outside of this one game they haven't really proved it. So I can totally agree on your points there. But what I will say is that the quick rhythm that we've added to the new offensive line combination, I think it does give us some cause to say maybe we found something here. But Troy, I totally agree with your non-optimism to not be ready to jump on that.
So, Troy, I agree 100%. And the only reason is because of our right guard, right? With Matt Pryor being there, it's kind of questionable. I think Kelly at left tackle, and then Quentin left guard, Ryan center, and then Braden Smith at right tackle is solid. I think our right guard is probably going to be the question this week, especially when it comes to facing somebody like Jeffrey Simmons, right? Jeffrey Simmons is, to me, he's probably one of the best defensive tackles in football, and we have to worry about him, especially when it comes to Mike Vrabel being his head coach. I think Mike Vrabel is a top 5 head coach in football right now.
Coach of the year.
He was coach of the year last year.
Yeah.
So when it comes to facing Mike Vrabel, man, you kind of got to be smart. That's just all it comes down to, because Mike Vrabel is one of those guys that can outcoach you in a heartbeat. And even though he wasn't a big name player, that man's got Super Bowl rings as a player, right? And he played in those games. And he's smart. I want to say he's smarter than half the guys he played with on defense in those Super Bowls.
Yeah,
that guy's underrated.
Troy said JT coming back and facing 8-man fronts will be a challenge. Actually, Troy, JT is actually doing better against 8-man fronts than he's doing against 6-man fronts. So not exactly sure what the challenge will be. The challenge will be more so for our offensive line. Can they kick open some holes so he can get some regular runs that he's used to? And Ashley, who's our backup right guard? I believe our backup right guard should still be either Will Fries or it should be Danny Pinter.
I also want to say, Ashley, the Phillies are not tied right now. We are up 7-6. Just saying. Go Phillies.
Go your team. Go your team.
Hey, let's go. All right. What part of the segment are we on? What kind of questions do they have? Awesome, man.
I think that was the last statement there.
All right, so crew predictions.
All right, man. Here we go.
This is the part you hate because you always go against us.
Yeah, I mean, I've been going against us the opposite way since the Chiefs game, just because, like I said, I need the Colts to prove it to me, man. I hate picking against them because I honestly feel like the talent and the ability that this team should have, like, I really feel like we should literally have like 13 or 14 wins a year. Like, I really do. But it's just like having that faith in them and then picking them and then us losing every week or doing something that we shouldn't be doing every week. It's just been like so tough. So I need them to prove it to me one more time. I'm going to go, geez, man. I'm going to go Titans 24-23.
Good. All right. I'm actually going higher, right? Because I don't think Tennessee's defense is that good. I also don't think our defense plays that well tomorrow. I'm actually going 35-34.
Oh, God.
Indianapolis. I'm going with us winning because I think Frank Reich and hear me out. I think it's going to be a last-second touchdown.
If we allow Tennessee to score 34 points, I might throw up.
I agree, but I think Frank figures it out at the end, and we end up scoring 35. They score 34.
I hope you're right on the prediction.
Hey, let's do a lock real quick, and this is crew locks, right? We did teams already for around the NFL. Let's do players in the Tennessee Colts game. Who do you have as a lock? Who's gonna just dominate tomorrow?
A lock and who's going to dominate?
Dominate.
I'm gonna have to run it back to my boy Tyquan Lewis.
Let's go, boy.
My boy Tyquan Lewis is a lock, man. I'm gonna go with 2 sacks, a forced fumble. I won't say an interception, but I will say 2 sacks and a forced fumble for my boy Tyquan Lewis.
Okay.
The team who scored the first TD. I'm gonna say the Colts will score the first TD. I'm gonna go with tight end Mo Ali Cox. I'm gonna say he scores the first touchdown.
Okay. I'm going to go.
That was Ashley's question, was asking who will score the first TD.
Okay. I'll answer my first question in a second. I'm going to go as my crew lock. I'm also going defensive front. I'm going to Forrest Buckner. Why? Because he didn't play that game. He didn't play the last game. So I'm going to Forrest Buckner.
Defoe. Okay.
Defoe. And who scores first in the game? I'm actually going to go Tennessee. And who scores it? Probably a no-name receiver. I'm going to go Phillips. Phillips scores it. I'm going to go Tennessee scores first. And I feel like tomorrow's going to be a stressful game. It's where all of us sit here mad as fuck.
As usual for the cardiac.
Exactly. Mad as shit. And I'm going to say either Phillips or Westbrook scores it in the slot because I don't believe Kenny Moore knows how to actually study film.
Didn't you say he was our key matchup, though?
I did. And it's a key matchup, but I hope that he studies freaking film.
Better study. He needs another interception around Tannehill.
Let's remember this tomorrow.
Ashley says we need to see more Dio. I think we could with Kwity Paye being out of rotation. So we shall see. But hopefully, whoever's in that defensive line, they should be eaten. Since the offensive line is not good. So we should be.
So with Lewin being out and Davis being out, I think our defensive line should be able to eat. Honestly, they should be able to be feasting and
eat like 2017 Ezekiel Elliott.
That all depends on Gus Bradley, right? It depends on if Gus Bradley depends on if he decides to throw everyone at him.
Well, I think it just depends on this defense. Don't let Tennessee score and get after Ryan Tannehill.
So Rick Venturi even said this week, it all depends on if we go after their offensive line. Exactly. And we need to go after their offensive line. We need to send people. We can't just sit back and let Ryan Tannehill just kind of sit comfortably in the pocket. We've shown that. We won the game last week by not letting Trevor Lawrence sit in the pocket.
Yeah, but we also didn't do is blitz though. So I don't think blitzing is the way. I think we need to get after him with four like we've been doing. These front four needs to keep getting after the quarterback like they've been doing for the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Right, 100%.
We need to do that again.
100%. So it fully falls on Deo.
DeForest Buckner. Ashley also says Kenny Moore hasn't been the same this year. And Ashley, that's what happens when you ask for money when you don't deserve it, honestly. I'm just be straight up here. I love
Kenny Moore. Kenny Moore being a slot receiver is limited.
I love Kenny Moore. That's my guy. He's my favorite Colt. But after those last 2 games to end the year, I don't want to say your whole pay depends upon those last 2 games, but you come out with those last 2 games and then you start the way you did this year and you ask for money in the offseason. It's just awful to me. So I really hope he picks it up. But, that's what happens when you ask for money and you don't necessarily need to change.
And then I know Ashley earlier on asked about Facyson, and I want to talk about Facyson a little bit. If it comes to any analyst in football, especially with the Colts, the weakest link in our defense is Facyson. And if you look at last week, Facyson and Isaiah Rodgers have actually shared almost 50% of snaps. So if you look at that compared to weeks 1 through 5, Isaiah Rodgers have earned more snaps throughout the week. So if you look at last week and you look at the film study, you can expect Isaiah Rodgers to be on the field more than Facyson, right? Because Frank is seeing what we're seeing. Me and Damian, we both have NFL Plus, and we both see those 22 player type film, and we both see what's going on, and we both see that Facyson has missed tackles. Last week, Facyson missed 2 tackles that were majorly important. One was a rookie receiver making his first catch in the NFL, and he gained like 15 yards off of it. And that was at the end of the game, which led to Trevor Lawrence being able to score a touchdown to tie the game, which ultimately led to them taking the lead.
Yep.
And then we were able to come back because of Alec Pierce. But
just can't do it there.
If you notice that his snaps have slowly decreased throughout the season. So I can tell you that I can't tell you as a coach because I'm not a coach of the Colts, but if I was a defensive coordinator and I'm looking at those plays and I'm looking at those snaps that are important, Facyon's not going to be as on the field as much as Isaiah Rodgers.
I tell you, just from any person who's been watching the NFL for a very long time, if this was any other team, Facyson would have been benched a long time ago.
100%.
Unless Isaiah got hurt. So
100%.
But yeah, you guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in.
Oh, Damon's back. Damon, do you have any last thoughts
regarding words
about tomorrow?
Besides the Titans.
Be the aggressor. Punch him in the mouth first, and move the ball down the field.
That's pretty much what we said first. That's pretty much what we said without you. So, let's go Colts. All right, we're going to talk about it. All right, and our outro is actually going to be the same as our old intro because I haven't gotten an outro yet. But, hey, let's go Colts. All right, let's beat the shit out of the Titans because I'm tired of losing to the Titans.
Yes.
Let's fucking tell them no. Let's let them know that this team ain't to play with. Our depth is deeper than theirs. All they have is Robert fucking Woods.
And Derrick Henry.
Grover Stewart. Kenny Moore.
DeForest
Buckner.
Bobby
Lewis.
Tyler Franklin.
This game is on you.
Let's go.
Let's freaking go.
Wentz had a nice bounce back year.
Season, he was good.
The issue for me with Wentz had a nice bounce back year.
Season, he was good.
The issue for me with Wentz is always chips are on the line. Now what? And I picked the Jags because of Carson Wentz.
I think it's one of the worst losses in recent NFL memory for me. I think it's one of the worst losses in the history of their franchise. It absolutely falls at the feet of Carson Wentz, but everybody in that organization had a hand in it.
In the meantime, we have another quarterback on the move. Matt Ryan has been traded to the Colts.
Breaking news out of the NFL where Stephon Gilmore is signing with the Indianapolis Colts.
The Colts have traded for Yannick Ngakoue.
Wow. Jonathan Taylor is the MVP of the NFL. This is the best run-blocking offensive line in the NFL.
Reggie Wayne talking about Matt Ryan, exact quote. It makes me throw up how much he reminds me of Peyton Manning.
In the end zone to Jonathan Taylor. Goodbye, touchdown, Indy.